Episode 33 of Travel Bros is here. We are going to Italy. I'm super excited. Jamie actually filmed episode 31 in this hotel, which caused a lot of our issues. So I think this is going to be a glowing review of a great property. But I think if you have a lot of video conference calls to do, maybe this hotel's not the best choice for you. So we're headed to Lake Como. Before I let you dig in, Jamie, I'm going to talk a little bit about my experience in Lake Como. So it's interesting. So I made the maybe not popular choice of staying in the city of Como at the Vista Palazzo Laga de Como. And I sometimes kind of wish I did what you did and went up onto the lake. I did do like a boat tour, checked everything out. I actually drove almost all the way around Lake Como, which is kind of cool.
Like a good American.
Yeah, of course. Which let me tell you, there's a theme. I always like driving. I'm always driving. And this Lake Como trip was part of like a 5-week trip we did. We went to like Switzerland, Austria, Venice. Driving in Lake Como is some of the most nervous I think I've ever been in Europe, especially when you take, I want to say it's like, they call it SP. It's a lot of bicyclists, a lot of motorcyclists, and it's like a 1.5 lane road. And then you get those city buses. It's like on your way up to Bellagio. So what I did is I drove up the other way on the highway and came like up and around and like, it's like, oh, this is easy. But man, that drive from Bellagio to Como is not for the faint of heart. I highly recommend going the other direction if you're driving.
I had the same experience. So we drove from Milan up, and you're passing some sections where you think your mirror is coming off at any moment.
Yeah. What kind of car were you in?
I had an Audi A4 wagon. So not a big car, but it was definitely, like you said, there's a lot of bikers on the road. There are big buses coming through. And when you're in a city, like one of the little towns going through, there's inches between cars, if that.
I can't even recall what I was driving now. I was driving a full-size SUV, though, so it was not meant to be there. Okay, well, we're both on the same page there. I will say the one thing, there's a lot of really good food I found in the city of Como. And I'll give a shout to 2 places real quick. The downside is when we get up to where your hotel is, and a lot of these nice hotels, you're probably an hour plus from these hotels, but maybe you can plan it. Like I said, I had a car there. You had a car there. I feel like you really need a car, like personally speaking, but you can take the train from Milan to Como, and then you can take the ferry up to these hotels. So it's not like a need if you're doing staycation, but my preference
I would recommend a car probably. Yeah, I think you could do, like you said, you could do the train to Como and then the fast ferry or whatever up. Or I believe you can also do a train to Verona, and then it's like a 5-minute boat ride over. So it's a longer train ride, shorter boat ride, or you can do the shorter train ride to Como and then the longer boat ride up. But I would say cars probably, you're not going to drive around much while you're there, but it's probably quicker and easier to grab a train or grab a car at the airport versus take a train to Milan Central and then, that'd be my suggestion.
We're on the same page there, but I'm probably always pro car. So I think my 2 must visit restaurants, if you can make your way into the city of Como or grab one on the way in and out of town, is La Costa. It's definitely on the south side of the city. It's going to be a drive even from staying in Como. And the other place I'm going to really butcher how to say the name of this place, but it's Croto del Sergente. I don't know. Also really great. Both not the cheapest food, but on the affordable side. And then if you do have, I'll give one quick shout before we get into your property. If you have a little kid, I want to say like under 5, 6, there's a place called Kids Park Como, which is far from downtown as well, but it's really fun. It's cheap. Yeah, there's a lot going on in town too. I think one of the downsides is staying at the Vista, you're very close to the ferry terminal. And if you're over there on the weekends, it gets so busy. During the week, it's not bad. You've got access to nice farmers markets and some things. And then I will say, if you are driving, there's a place called Gran Mercato, which was probably one of the best grocery stores we went to in Italy. It's like an American-sized grocery store. It's right over by the Sheraton if you're looking for it. And I'm not saying it correctly, but if you're coming from town, driving up to your hotel, you will wind up driving past there. So I would highly recommend grabbing some their sodas or beer before you get to your hotel and find out what the
Yep.
prices are. Perfect. Let's dig into this hotel, Jamie. What is the name of it? What program does it fall under? What kind of benefits can you get from booking there?
All right, so today we are going to be talking about Grand Hotel Victoria. It's in Menagio. This is probably one of my favorite hotels in the world. And I can say that pretty confidently. And I say that because I went 2 years ago and I stayed 2 nights and I came away and I really loved the hotel. And I just got back a couple days ago from spending 5 nights there at the end of June. And it confirmed that I do love this property. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. It is it's a small luxury hotel. It participates in Virtuoso. So when booking with Travel Bros, you're going to get breakfast for two daily, $100 property credit, welcome amenity, upgrade, early check-in, late checkout, those based on availability. And I would say this time I went during a peak time. So the hotel was actually pretty close to capacity. So you may get an upgrade, you may not. If you go kind of shoulder season, much better shot at an upgrade. The last time I went, we got upgraded to a junior suite, which was really nice. Their standard rooms are still really large. We could probably hit on that a little bit as we go, but I think even if you don't get an upgrade and you're in a base room, the rooms are space-wise quite large.
Excellent. So I will say I spent very little time in Menagio. Like, what can you do in Menagio? What's going on in Menagio outside of just this property?
Yep. So that is one of the things I actually really liked about Menagio. It's not like a Como or a Bellagio or Verena where you have tons of tourists coming in. This, for the most part, is one of the, I won't say the only hotels, but there's not a ton of hotels here. And it's not a big tourist draw, so there's not a ton of people coming over on the boats to come hang out in Menagio. So, from the hotel, you can walk into the little downtown area. There's a bunch of shops and restaurants. One we really like is Divino 13. It's like a block off the main, what I would call like the main street along the water. We've eaten there probably 3 times now between both trips. Every time we really enjoy it. Also, I mean, there's a ton of activities, right? You can do biking. The lake is obviously the main attraction. So you can either rent a boat to drive yourself, which we did this time. You could rent a boat up to 40 horsepower. No anything, right? You can just basically get on it and go. You don't have to have a boater's license, anything like that. And I was surprised how quick they actually go. So we had a lot of fun. That was probably one of our highlights of the stay. So it's like $300 and some for 4 hours. And you could, potentially you could take the boat all the way down to Como if you wanted to. We didn't go quite that far, but they point you in the right direction on the lake. They gave us some good sights to see. So we saw the villas that were in the Star Wars movies. We drove by George Clooney's house, and then they gave us a little place that was behind an island. So really calm, where boats pull in and you can jump off and swim and the boats don't even like float away. So that would be something I would highly recommend. If you don't want to drive the boat yourself, you can book like the old school wooden boats and you could take a tour of the lake and they'll show you all the villas and stuff like that. We did that last time, which was really cool.
We did do that. We did not opt for driving. Did you book the boat through the hotel?
So the boat tour that we did last time, I booked right through the hotel. The boat that you rent, if you walk out of the hotel right to the lake, which is like 50 feet in front of the hotel, there's 2 different rental places, one to the left, one to the right. Both prices were similar. I didn't book it till I got there, so I just booked the one that had availability the day I wanted.
Okay, perfect. This hotel's kind of interesting because it's almost as old as the United States of America. It's kind of interesting how much action was going on in Lake Como in the 1890s. I was like, man, I'd really like to have been there back then. But so it describes the hotel as a neoclassical villa that was built in 1890. It opened as a hotel in 1892, welcoming wealthy guests from England, Germany, and Russia. Do you feel like, because obviously the hotel's been very recently renovated, I think 2021, you can fact check me on that, but how does the hotel still feel like an 1800s building, or like where's the mix? Does it like smell old, or is it like restored really well?
So that's actually a really good question. So it went through like major renovation. 2 years it was closed for. So it reopened in 2021, and they took the old building, the original 80s building, and they actually added a second building on behind it. They call it the Palazzo. So I've only stayed in the new building. So every room that I've stayed in is a really large, brand new room. I mean, it's got, motorized blinds, screens for the temperatures and all the controls in the room and everything. When you walk into the property, I could definitely feel like the architecture inside in the main building is definitely older. You've got some smaller hallways, smaller spaces, smaller doors, grand staircase going up. So the original building definitely still retains some of that, like, kind of original vibe, but it looks like like it was just completely redone. So all the marble, everything is like super, super new, super nice. So there's not like an old funky smell or anything like that. Well, I haven't stayed in any of the new rooms or the renovated rooms in the old building. That's where you would be if you book something with a lake view, because I would say the new building is behind it. So you don't really have many lake views from there. The junior suite we stayed in last time had a balcony that you could see the lake from, but I wouldn't necessarily call it a lake view, where if you stay in the old building, it's looking straight out over the lake.
Okay. So your preference would be to be in the old building?
I think so. Particularly, like we went with kids. We did have 2 rooms, but I feel like those rooms are probably going to be on the larger side just because they're newer. I mean, the hallways, I even took pictures because I was actually shocked how wide the hallways were in the hotel.
Mm-hmm.
Even most new hotels, what the hallways maybe like 6 feet, 7, I don't know what a normal hallway is, like 6 feet wide or so. These hallways are probably like 10 or 12 feet wide. I mean, enough so that they have like seats and plants and stuff in the hallways. So that really impressed me. So I think I would probably opt for the attached building. I only say that because that's the only place I've stayed. I haven't seen any of the other rooms. Now, if I was coming maybe just my wife and the view was going to be much more important to me, I may opt for the original building just for the views.
Okay. Give me some more details maybe on room types. Like
Yeah.
what are your options?
So it is a smaller hotel. So there's only 81 rooms and suites here. That's between both buildings. So talking a little bit about room types. Let me see what all we've got. So I've stayed in, here, let me pull this back up so I actually can tell you the exact room type I've stayed in. All right. So this stay, I believe we stayed in what was considered the deluxe courtyard view. And this is in the new building. So these are where the rooms are quite large. So these say they're from 24 to 45 square meters. I would definitely say we were in a 45 square meter room because it was probably at least 450 square feet. I was actually really impressed by the amount of floor space we had in there. And our kids stayed in the room next door. They had the same room type as us, but it was laid out slightly different. They had a larger like hallway in the entrance, but their room was also pretty large. Last time we stayed, we had they called it a junior suite. And I think that's probably describing it accurately. It's a bed, had a little separate area and then a little bit of a sitting area. That was really nice because they actually were able to connect 2 junior suites with external doors, right? So, I think we've talked about it before. There's like a main door open and then you've got 2 doors inside. So I really liked that last time, especially with the kids. Now they have a bunch of different suite options. And looking at the views from it, I think a lot of these are actually going to be in the original building. So they have a junior suite lake view that looks out right over the lake. They've got a suite with a park view. So suite with a park view is going to be in the new building.
Okay.
What they call the park kind of looks out over either the pool area or there's like a courtyard area between the 2 buildings. Then you've got suite, basically anything I think that's going to say lake view is going to be in the original building. So they've got a suite lake view, suite with a terrace lake view. So that gives you a little balcony. Queen Victoria's suite, which is park and lake view. So I'm guessing that probably is maybe end of a hallway looking both ways. And then they've got a master suite, which is a 2-bedroom suite. This is a true 2-bedroom that's got lake view and park view. And then the presidential suite, which again is lake view and park view. That's going to be top floor, looking out over the lake. I think in most cases, a junior suite or deluxe room is probably plenty of space, but special occasion, anniversary, something like that, you want to splurge, do a suite with a lake view, something like that. There's definitely options there for you.
Okay.
I don't think there's a lot of each room type because there's a lot of room types for the size of the property. There's probably like 10 different room types, but there's only 81 rooms. And I think a lot of them are going to be kind of those, deluxe park view in the new building.
Makes a lot of sense. Yeah, it seems like all the bathrooms that I can find have really nice like marble bathrooms. I mean, it's well put together. I like it. I can see how it's in one of your favorite hotels in the world. Is it your favorite hotel in the world? Or is it one of your favorite hotels?
See, I don't know that I can name a true favorite. So that's why anyone asks, I'm like, it's probably my top three. Because I think at any given time, it's probably what you're in the mood for. Like if I'm in the mood for a beach hotel, or if you're in the mood for like a fancy city hotel, kind of all. I would say this is one of my favorite, like smaller luxury hotels. And I think a big part of it is the service, the amount of staff that this hotel
Okay.
has. And I mean, I know there's only 81 rooms, but the amount of staff they have for the 81 rooms, right? So you're talking maybe what at full occupancy, 160 people plus or minus.
Mhm.
The amount of staff they have there to help you at any time is incredible, right? So you pull in, you're coming down a little one-way street, like they come out, block traffic when you're pulling out or pulling in, so you can pull right in. There's like 3 people at valet. As soon as you pull up, they know I don't know how, but they know you're coming. Someone walks out. They're taking your bags. There's a person that walks you right into check-in. Like they come out, meet you at the car, walk you into check-in, check you in. They remember your name the whole time you're there. If you work with the concierge or the front desk to build an itinerary, they seem to know what you're doing. Like we come back from the beach club, like, hey, did you have a good time at the beach club today? Did you enjoy it? We went out in the boat. They're like, how was the boat? Like they remember you. They know what you're doing. And there's a lot of them, I would say. I
Mhm.
mean, you walk in the lobby, there's 2 concierges that seem to always be on staff. And then you've got 2 or 3 people near the front desk area. So there's always a ton of staff and, people there helping.
Got it. Yeah, I will say I had a similar experience to it at my hotel in Como too. I was impressed with that. They never had valet tickets. Like I would just give them my
Yeah.
keys and they know, and I was like, oh, okay.
Yep.
But
Yeah, I was quite impressed with that.
I did experience a little bit of that as well at our property. So that is a nice feeling. Let's pivot a little bit to some of the cons in this hotel because a lot of them look incredible, like well done. And with it being so few rooms, like, is there a lot of nice space, quiet space? And then, like, eating wise, are you able to eat, like, talk about some of, I guess, that stuff there?
Yeah, so there's a few different really nice spaces. So when they built the, this new add-on, the Palazzo area, they also added a really nice in-ground swimming pool behind it.
Okay.
And I don't know if there was a pool there before, but this space is all completely redone. So the pool's really nice. There's a couple cabanas at the pool, and these are not pay to rent cabanas. It seems to be first come, first serve type cabanas, which is really nice. That at the pool, they also have a pool bar and restaurant. That was open every day till like 6 o'clock or so. You are going to pay a premium for any of the restaurants and stuff here versus walking into town. But we ate at the pool and we did some pizzas and some drinks there. Their pizzas, while they were much more expensive than something in town, they were actually really good. They also have the place where you have breakfast. I believe it's called 1827. I don't remember if this one's 1827 or if this one's Lago. But the 2 different names of the restaurants, they kind of share similar spaces. But the place where you have breakfast, that's more, I think, the fine dining. We didn't eat dinner there. We did breakfast there every day. But then outside, there's a bunch of seating areas right when you walk out the front door of the hotel. And I think they have a similar casual menu to like what the pool bar has. So, kind of quick bites and pizzas, sandwiches, things like that. It is a really cool spot to hang out, have a glass of wine or, Aperol Spritz, order some snacks and stuff. It has a great view looking out over the lake. So that's another really great spot there. There's a really cool bar right inside off the lobby. Tons of different whiskeys, like a really good cocktail menu. So that's a really cool spot to, grab a drink. And I believe they also serve out front where you can grab the pizzas and everything.
Okay. And what about, you mentioned you did a day at the beach club. Is that technically part of the hotel or how does that work?
So that's a good question. I still don't completely understand the relationship. I believe this hotel and everything owns it. It's called Victoria Beach Club. It is a couple hundred yards up the street, maybe. It's easily walkable. They will also drive you there. They have these really cool Victoria Beach golf carts, or they have like a Mercedes van. So they can drive you there if you don't feel like walking, but it's a 5-minute walk. This opened in 2024. So this is only the second season it's open. This was probably one of my favorite additions to the property because the last time we went, it wasn't open. And I really wish that the pool looked out over the lake because it's such a beautiful area. This accomplishes that. I'm going to give some information, and I have no idea if this is going to be completely accurate forever, but even when you're staying there, the Victoria Beach Club is a paid experience. So you're supposed to pay to rent chairs and cabanas and stuff like that there. Everything. So I experienced, they gave us 4 chairs for free. I thought I was going to be paying for them. I wound up not paying for them. And when I checked in, I also noticed a bunch of other room numbers from our hotel and it said complimentary. So I don't know that that is going to be something that happens forever, but it definitely seemed that if you were staying at the hotel and they had availability, they would be able to get you complimentary seats there. I don't know during peak season if that's always the case, but I feel like we were there during a pretty busy time. But the beach club is amazing. I think it's the best addition that the property, like that they added to the property. You've got a family infinity pool that looks out over Lake Como. There's tons of different like buttons and stuff that the kids can push that turn on fountains and different jets and everything like that. So the kids really loved it. The views from the pool were amazing. Right next to that pool, there's a kids splash area and small water slide. So I feel like that added stuff for little kids to do that the property didn't necessarily have before. So there's different places you can splash around in, little shallow pool, little water slide going down. Then you've got the actual beach area, which is like a sand floor. Well, it's not a beach that actually goes out into the lake. They imported a bunch of sand. And then there's stairs that go down into the lake that you can swim in the lake from there. And then there's one more infinity pool that's an adults only section. So if you want to get away from the kids, you don't want to be bothered, you have that there.
So I'm holding my chest, trying not to pass out. I found the pricing map for this place.
So
Lord,
it's gonna look scarier than it actually is. So when you look at the prices, that's the price for 2 chairs. So if it says like $90, or 90 euros, it's 90 euros for 2 chairs.
Yeah. So I plugged in next 2 Fridays from now. It says 190 euros with 2 seats.
Yep. So that is true.
It looks like if you go to the kids pool side, you can save a little bit.
Yeah, I think over there it was like, it was about. And then I will say, if you need an extra set of chairs, so like we had 4 chairs, the second set of chairs is 50% off. So they do like a family. So I will say it is expensive. I was going in fully prepared to pay about $300 for 4 chairs.
Sure.
And I would say that I would not have been upset about paying that because I enjoyed it that much.
Okay. Well, it's good to know then, at least. I mean, it looks like it's more of, when you told me you were at the beach club, it looks better than I mean, at least you've got like a kids pool, an adult pool, you got a restaurant.
So there's actually 2 restaurants there.
Okay.
There's an outdoor restaurant that's like right next to the adults only pool that's right on the water. That's really, I mean, location wise, I think that's awesome. And then there's a really nice building they added that I would say looks more upscale. I actually think they do dinners there in the evening, like after the beach club section is closed, but you can eat at either restaurant. You've got changing areas, you've got really nice showers or really nice bathrooms. So while it is expensive, I think it's money well spent. I would have done probably another day. Had I done it earlier in the trip, I probably would have done a second day there.
Okay. Well, it's good to know. I mean, listen, if they're going to give it to you free with your room too, I mean, that
was a nice surprise.
400 euro value out of that. So
it made it feel a lot better ordering like $26 drinks or whatever it was there. It was, drinks are not, I will say drinks. This is both at the hotel and the beach club. When you think about, if you walk into town, you can get a, Aperol Spritz or a glass of Prosecco for like 5 or 6 euros. Where at the hotel or the beach club, you're talking 20, 25 euros. So there's quite a premium on alcohol at the hotel. So you're paying for it.
Fair enough. Let's dance around here and talk about, I think probably it is included in your room rate here, thankfully. Got jacuzzi room, steam room, 2 saunas, walking path that'll do extremely hot, cold water, experience showers with various temperatures, lighting and aromas, a relaxation room, and a relaxation room with 0 gravity chairs opposite a wall of fire. Tell me about the spa. It sounds awesome. It looks awesome. So how was it?
This is a highlight of the property for me. I love this spa. I know I said this is one of my favorite hotels. This is part of the reason this is one of my favorite hotels. This is probably my favorite spa. And I feel like I'm pretty well versed in spas. I've been to a ton of spas. I've done where I think Vegas typically has some of the best spas in the world. Amenity wise, I think this would compete with any spa anywhere as far as amenities. It has a really nice pool. It's like a 65 foot indoor pool. And inside the pool, there's all different, I would say, experiences that you can push buttons. So there's like areas that you can lay on that have bubbles underneath to massage you. There's sections you can stand in that bubbles come up from the floor. There's massaging jets that come out from the wall that you can push buttons for. So the pool itself is really cool. You can obviously also swim around in it. Then you've got multiple steam rooms, multiple saunas. Talk about the experience showers. So there's, I don't know, probably 6 or 7 different experience showers. And what that is, you basically, I'll give an example of one. You push a button and there's 4 different stations you walk through. Each one has either, different temperature waters, different kind of jets. Some have different scents that are pumped into it. So like a mint or like eucalyptus that kind of makes you feel tingly. So there's all different options there. You mentioned the walking path. So there's a walking path you walk through and it goes like hot, cold, hot, hot, cold. That's really cool. There's a snow room. So, snow comes down, you can grab the ice and rub it all over. There is, you talked about, there's 2 different relaxation rooms. My wife would come down and hang out in the one, with the 0 gravity chairs and just read while, I was swimming around and doing all the other fun stuff. So the spa itself is pretty amazing. And one of the things I really like about it, from, I believe it's 8 to 12 or 8:30 to 12. It's basically from open till 12. They allow families there. So the kids can go down. We went every day that we were there, got there usually like 8:30. And I would say 4 out of the 5 days, we were the only people there for the majority of the time. So that was pretty amazing, right? So this place is sold out and it's still not very busy. Even when people showed up, it was only a couple. So the spa is really, really nice. If you're looking for a nice spa, looking for, even if you don't do a treatment, you could just go down there and hang out. And you could easily spend a couple hours there.
I do like that about a lot of these European hotels is they generally do spa hours for saying no kids at all. I mean, it's nice they have an outdoor pool too. A lot of the hotels I've stayed at, the only pool is in not the most fun situation.
Yeah.
I found that though too, like we've gone when I was in Cortina, they just let us use the spa whenever because there's never anyone in there.
Yeah. I mean, I'm shocked
kids'
that
hours are
there's
these
not more
hours.
people.
Yeah. And that spa was great too. And they're like, well, this is kids' hours, but since there's no one in the spa, you guys can just come. But
Oh, that's nice.
please be quiet and or leave. And I was like,
Yeah.
okay. But I find it interesting how empty seem to stay. And I don't know if Europeans don't. I don't know because I'm not sure. I don't know why Europeans don't want to be in the spa. I don't know what they're up to.
Well, it's funny you say that because the couple times that other families came down, they were definitely Americans. So,
well, I don't know. Especially Northern Europeans, I feel like love saunas, right? So I talked about some of the common areas. We covered food. We covered the rooms. Let's talk about the thing I think that is the most unfortunate about this hotel: pricing. Why don't you give us some? Why don't you give us feedback or info on pricing and maybe when's for starters, it's a seasonal only hotel, so you can't go year round. But like, give us this. And when do you think maybe you could arbitrage a better deal? When are you paying full board? What's kind of your thoughts here?
Yeah, this is a pricey hotel. It is only open March through November. They're looking to make their money in that short season that they have. When we went, so over the summer, rooms typically are running in the 2,000 plus or minus dollars per night range. Now, there's not always a huge difference between like a base room and a junior suite and stuff like that, but you're usually in that range. Off season, or I say off season, early season and late season. So if you were to go April, probably early May, I think you get down in the $1,000-ish range. Same with like a October-ish range. I think you can get down in that $1,000 a night range. And I think for that price, the first time we went in October. We still had great weather. We were still able to use the pool. Obviously, it can vary, but I think shoulder season is probably the best time to go, especially if you're, when you're getting a better value, you can still get some great weather. And I think you avoid some of the crowds and like, if you're taking the boat over to Bellagio or Verena. We went last time, it was busy, but it wasn't crazy. This time when we went over, it was madness. Like we went to Bellagio and it was crazy busy. So I think that's a selling point of you can get some cheaper rooms, you can still get some great weather, and you're going to avoid, a lot of the summer crowds if you could do like a, early fall, like September, October.
Funny story about Bellagio. That is the only place in Europe I've ever driven to that I did not successfully park at, and I went home. My daughter did fall asleep in the car ride, so that helped. But I mean, I was with my mother-in-law too with a handicap pass, so you can kind of park anywhere in Europe there. You're allowed to use like loading zone. I couldn't even find like a loading zone to park in when we were in Bellagio. It was such a shit show.
Yeah, that's a
But it is
so
what it is.
I will say, mentioning like a Verena or a Bellagio, you are fairly close to, I guess you call it like, I don't want to call it a cruise port, whatever, where the boats dock,
Mm-hmm.
that you can, the water taxi or water ferry or whatever. You're maybe quarter to a half mile. It's walkable from the hotel. They'll also drive you there if you want, but that gives you access to pretty much anywhere you would want to go. You could take a boat to Como, you could take Bellagio, you can bounce around there, and it's fairly reasonable. I want to say like you could buy like a day pass for like $15 or something like that.
Yeah, and I'll throw in something interesting that's kind of, I didn't realize you're only about a mile and a half from Villa Carlotta. I don't know if you ended up going there. I really like that place. It's got a lot of like walking around you can do. The villa itself is pretty cool. What's kind of crazy about this villa is they don't actually know a lot about it. They like the architect is unknown. It was constructed in the hundreds. It was finished in 1745, so it took them like 100 years or something to build this place, and it's really gorgeous. And then I forget who owned it for a while in the 1800s, but whoever it was, uh, basically when World War One broke out, they kicked him out, right? And the government took it over because they were like, it was some enemy of the state or
Yeah.
against, Italian fascism, whatever it may be. And so, like, I guess it said that I didn't know this. They didn't tell me this when I was there, but reading it on Wikipedia, it says that during the war, the interest of the owners was held by the Swiss consulate. Then at some point post World War One, it went into financial administration in the Como province, basically took it over. They basically said, hey, this is of national significance. All this stuff happened, yada, yada, yada. And now there's a foundation responsible for the villa and whatnot. Me and my wife had a lot of fun just walking around the property. The gardens are, they must spend $20,000 to $40,000 a month upkeeping the gardens of this place. The villa itself is really cool. You have I want to say it's like $7 or $10. So it's like, I would definitely add that to your list of like something to do. Yeah, it says right here, the botanical gardens cover 20. It's incredible.
I'll put that on my list next time I go because I need to go back anyway.
Yeah, and the nice thing too is it's hot there sometimes in summer, and it's a lot of like really big tree. There's a lot of like shade organically. There's like a waterfall and stream that run through the place. And then if you're into and then there's a lot of like plaster art and tapestries, silk wool tapestry art in there as well. If you're into that, that's not really top of my list, but it's very close to the property. And I really think you could make a good week out of Lake Como. I think. Yeah. And then you can always shoot back to Milan if you need the city. It's a great location to make your way into Switzerland and stuff too. I think Lake Como and Cortina are my two places I would do like an ultimate Italian road trip and integrate those two cities in. I think you'll have a great time.
Yeah, I would say, I wasn't, actually, I would say I was sure. Going in for 5 nights, someone was like, oh, it's not going to be too long. Like there's nothing, there's not a lot to do per se. But this was one of my favorite European trips. I didn't feel like I was in a city the whole time, just like hitting museums and like crazy jam-packed itinerary. Like this was a nice, relaxing, 5 days at the lake, and it wasn't, a jam-packed itinerary. We rented a boat one day. We did the beach club one day. We did basically nothing one day and just walked around the town, hung out at the hotel pool. We did drive over to Switzerland one day. We went to, drawing a blank where we went. I don't know. It was only 45 minutes away.
In Switzerland?
Yeah. It's an easy pop over if you want to go to Switzerland.
Yeah, Lugano, I think in Maj.
That's where I went. I went to
big
Lugano.
City. Yeah, that's close.
And we did make a mistake.
Listen,
we went on.
Oh, did you?
I'm thinking we went on Sunday, so everything. Like I say, everything. All the stores were closed. Obviously, the restaurants and stuff were open, but a lot of the stores and stuff were closed. So that was our bad.
Yeah, what can you do? Perfect. Now, okay. I think my last on here, I think we covered a lot with this. Do you think this is like a good intro to Italy trip? Like if someone's never been to Italy, it's their first time, would you steer them up to Lake Como?
I think as part of probably a broader trip, right? I think most people think Italy and it's like, I got to go to Rome, Florence, Venice, kind of like the major cities. And that's the first trip that we took. We did kind of like a central northern Italy. So we did Florence, we did Venice, and then we did Lake Como. I think it's a nice end to any Italy trip. It's a relaxing trip. I actually have some clients slash friends there right now that they did. And they did Lake Como as part of a broader Italy trip. So they did Florence. I think they did Florence, Venice, and Como. And I think it's, after you spend time doing the museums and kind of having like a go, fast-paced itinerary, it's a nice way to end relaxing by the lake.
Perfect. I'll throw in a couple other interesting things. When last time I was in Como, their football team, Como 1907, was in Serie B. They have a really small stadium, like it's 13,000 seats. It's right up the water. It's super cool, I think, experience. They have a real, I think, fan base. Interestingly, the club was bought by self-proclaimed, I don't know who verified this, but it's the Hartano brothers, which are the richest owners now in Italian football. So they bought this team in Serie B, and they've invested a lot of money into it, and they've brought it now into the Serie A, which is like where all the teams, Inter Milan, AC Milan, Juventus play. They have some minority shareholders of famous football players like Thierry Henry, Cesc Fabregas. The team in 2019, they've been investing a lot of money, and it is becoming successful. So that's a cool idea and thing. I also think it's really, if you happen to be in Como when they're playing a big team, I think it's really fun to see like a huge big name, AC Milan, Inter Milan, Juventus, or one of those type teams in a small stadium. So that's like, it's pretty cool. Cesc Fabregas too, if you're with him, from famous player for Spain. He played at Arsenal, Barcelona. He is the head coach right now as well, and also been given a minority stakeholder. It's kind of funny what's happened to European football, because as I mentioned, the Hartano brothers, I didn't know who they were, and I looked them up, and apparently they are rich from owning a clove cigarette manufacturer conglomerate in Indonesia. Okay. So didn't see that one coming. They also, interesting, they also own like one of the best they own the Indonesian league, it seems like, perhaps. Anyway, so, clove cigarettes have made these guys to have more money than some private equity firms that own. There's a lot of American influence now in Italian football. And when I mentioned big teams, I forgot Napoli. I want to apologize. I don't want anyone from Naples to, come after me here. Anyway, I think it's another fun thing to do. I did run around the stadium. It was, when I was there, it was right before the season started. But if you look at it from, if you just even look at pictures of the stadium, it's literally 6 feet from the water.
That's awesome.
Right by like one of the marinas, and it's really cool. Yeah. And there's farmers markets right on the other side of that stadium too. But I've looked at tickets. They're really cheap. So, way cheaper than what you're going to get going to one of the big, fancy stadiums and whatnot. So something to think about. Anything else you got for Como, your trip?
I was going to just throw out some it's a celebrity hotspot, apparently.
Lake Como or your hotel?
Lake Como. So, you may run into some at the hotel, but part of the boat tour, George Clooney obviously is famous for living on Lake Como. When you're out there, that's kind of a tourist attraction now. They mark it on the map. You can go see George Clooney's house.
He got married there, correct?
Yeah, and he's bought like adjacent homes to kind of get some more privacy and stuff like that. So that was cool. It was a little bit anticlimactic. It's not one of these like grand villas, but it was cool to see. Donatella Versace, they have a family home there. Supposedly Richard Branson has a home. Supposedly Madonna has a home. These are not like marked or anything like that, but these are ones that are rumored to own properties on Lake Como. I don't think Messi owns a home there, but reportedly he's seen there quite often. Same with Sting and Sylvester Stallone. So I think these are people that you could potentially spot out on the lake or something like that, which would be kind of cool. But they've got some famous villas too from Star Wars. There's multiples. You got a Star Wars villa. You've got the villa from Casino Royale that you can see actually right from the beach club. So there's some famous villas that you've seen in movies and stuff too. So if you rent a boat or do a lake tour, they'll show you those.
The Star Wars villa is super cool.
Yeah, that was one when we were out in the boat. We were, you could see all the boats pulling up to it. Obviously, you can do tours there too, but there's boats pulling up, dropping people off. So that was pretty cool.
Perfect. I love it. I was trying to pull something in last second here, but I don't think they're really lame. How about this, Jamie? Real quick in closing, is there any other
Yeah.
hotels you would even consider staying or visiting in Como, or is this just kind of like your go-to, the only place you're going to go?
I really feel like I would probably be disappointed after staying here. I believe there's a Mandarin Oriental that looks really nice that is on Lake Como as well. Let me just see where exactly this a Mandarin
It's on the
Oriental
other
is.
side of the city from where you are. It's a little closer
Yeah.
to town, which is
So
plus
I
for
think that
some, a downside for others.
Yeah, I think that could be a potential option. There is a Ritz-Carlton that's going to be opening, but it's supposed to be next year. I don't know if it's far enough along to open next year, but possibly. And then another
Okay.
one, kind of talking like I think actually in Lake Como, the Sheraton there is really nice, and I think if you're looking for a more affordable option, I think that could be a good option as well.
So I will say, I've stayed there. Affordable, yes. Exciting, no. The pools section there is kind of nice. It's weird. It's across the street from the hotel, but it is a very sterile, convention-y feel Sheraton. Like they didn't really Italianify it up a little bit. I mean, I don't know what I was expecting or hoping they could accomplish there, but it's pretty affordable. But like if you could avoid staying there, I would. Especially like I think when we were there, the prices were like 600 to 800 a night, and it's like it would splurge and step
So
up in basis. But I mean, if that's your budget, that's your budget.
I was going to say
Obviously.
I'll give you a comparison. So I had pulled some prices in July for our hotel. So for Grand Hotel Victoria, I pulled 714 to 718. Now this isn't a junior suite because it's all that's available, but Grand Hotel Victoria, you're looking at about $11,000 for 4 nights in a junior suite. Sheraton, by comparison, is $3,000 for 4 nights. So it really, I would think if you're going during the summer, it's a good, very affordable option. We can get you similar benefits there as well. But yeah, I think if it's in your budget, I would obviously do a Grand Hotel Victoria. It's one of my favorite hotels.
I would agree. I'll say this. How about I would take the Sheraton, which I guess I made this decision, so I can say this with confidence. I would take the Sheraton over staying at the Hilton because there is like a Hilton Lake Como.
Yep.
The Hilton Lake Como, I think, really stinks because it's not really water adjacent, and the Sheraton kind of isn't either. But the nice thing when you get up into where the Sheraton is the Sheraton feels a bit more private because you're further up north. The Hilton is like in town, but not, and it's also off the main road. So it feels like it's harder to get to the beach there. And then I actually did a lot of running by there. And it's like two of the big, like the Villa Olmo and the Villa Galea. I forget how you say it. So there's not a lot of like beach access there. And then all that ground is like elevated from the sea. It's almost like seawall-ish a little bit.
Yeah.
So, and it just looks like a regular Hilton too, which, is not the most helpful. I just think it's in a weird spot. You can't really walk to food and things, which you can't either in the Sheraton. But like I said, I think with the Sheraton, you feel a lot more private and secluded, which I like. The Hilton, I will say, clicking around, does have a really cool rooftop pool and patio. So you've got some good views from there, which is a plus as well. If you must stay there. I wouldn't like not stay there, but I think Lake Como is a place I would really people to try and stretch the budget.
Yeah, and I do think being up the lake further away from some of the more touristy areas I think that's one of my favorite parts about Menagio is that it's not this like crazy touristy area.
I agree. I think that's what I'm saying is like, I think there's a lot of times where I'm like, look, if you don't like a nice hotel, just, go to the Sheraton, do the thing. Like, I think I would someone in Milan real quick. If they're just like, yeah, I don't really, the tricky thing with Milan is I think most of the nice hotels have really good location centricness, right around the Duomo and some of those places. But I think there's just a lot of outsized value the more you can get away and kind of like luxurify your experience in Como versus a lot of other places for sure. And then one last tip too, if you want to think about it, if you can't afford this hotel, which I completely understand, we all can't be Jamie Haas over here, and you don't want to do the Sheraton, what I would say is there's a lot of hotels that are about that Sheraton price in Lake Como. You can go over and stay in Lake Garda. And Lake Garda is, I would argue, just as pretty as Lake Como, but it's a little more local maybe is a better
Yep.
word, and it's not as much of the hype. I think you European vacationing there. I got 3 hotels I'll run down for you real quick in Lake Garda. We just booked somebody there. We've booked somebody at one of these other hotels too, and we can provide similar benefits for all these Lake Garda hotels. $100 property credit, breakfast for 2, welcome amenity, room upgrades, forecast availability, early check-in, late checkout. The 3 I got it's the La Fay Resort and Spa Garda. I had some friends stay there on a honeymoon. They still talk about it to this day, and they're pretty well traveled. They really love that property. Downside is you're not like lakeside. It's like kind of up, on a cliff a little bit. You've got the Grand Hotel Fasano, which is on the lake. That's where we just booked somebody, so I'll be stoked to get some feedback there. And then you've got an SLH property there too, Cape of Senses. But I would say all of those hotels are probably going to be about half price of Victoria most of the peak season. And Lake Garda is a little slower. There's also a lot more hiking and active things over in Lake Garda. So just as an alternative, last minute throw in there for you. That's, something you can consider as well.
So talking about the active, I will throw this out. The fitness center at Grand Hotel Victoria is probably one of the better European fitness centers that I've been to.
Okay.
Well, it's not huge. It is a true fitness center where I felt like the last Italy trip I went to, every hotel I stayed at, the fitness center was like a closet with like a multi-use machine and like a treadmill, where this property had, I think, 3 or 4 treadmills, bikes, some free weights, some kettlebells. Like you could actually get a decent workout in at this hotel versus what I've find at most European properties is not the case.
Yeah, that's good to know as well. I definitely think you should stay in Lake Como and visit. Lake Como is one of my top 3 places in Italy I would visit before I died or, whatever, didn't come to Italy. It's just a really fun, unique area. It's a really good time.
Yeah, I love it there. Kind of going on a tangent. My wife and I, we always talk about like, where do you want to end up? Where would you retire? And I don't know that I would obviously move over there full time, but I could definitely see spending a month or 2, like you find a place to rent or, some type of extended stay. Like I could easily spend a month just hanging on the lake.
This is why we need you to book with us so Jamie can retire in
so I can retire
in 40 years. Who knows?
Right.
Awesome. Well, I think I'm going to say best podcast ever. Ready to get you to book. Please reach out to us. Link in bio. Comment below. Tell us, I don't know, something mean, hopefully something nice. Give us 5 stars on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. We started getting comments on Spotify, and maybe boomer, but I didn't even know you could leave comments on Spotify.
I didn't know that either.
Podcast. So here you go. Learn something new this week. Shout out to everyone listening. Appreciate it, guys. And we will see you next week.
See ya.